Hey guys, EvanNova95 here, coming at you with another Star Wars ranking video. Today we will be ranking the Jedi Battlemasters from weakest to strongest. However, as always, I need to get a few disclaimers out of the way before we proceed into the list. Firstly, this list is going to be based almost exclusively on the known BMs of the Legends continuity, as Disney, at the time of this recording, has only saw fit to grant Sindralig the Battlemaster title and no one else. Secondly, when I say weakest to strongest, I am referring to the entirety of the Battlemaster's skill set, not just their relative strength in the Force. To put it more plainly, this list is going to be ordered in terms of who I think is capable of winning a fight against everyone placed beneath them. This means it will take into account factors such as physicality, martial arts training, tactical sensibilities, force abilities, force power, level of experience, feats, and overall knowledge of the Jedi arts. Finally, just so we're clear, when I say Jedi Battlemasters, I am referring specifically to characters that hold that specific rank and title. As such, Jedi Weapons Masters like Vodosias Bas, Thon, and Rastilasu will not be included. Nor will I take into account Jedi Sword Masters like Yoda, Mace Windu, and Anun Bandara. Those are different ranks with different specifications. With all that out of the way, let's get started. Kicking off our list, we have Jun Serous. Okay, so every Jedi rank needs a sort of vanilla character to build off of, and they don't come much more vanilla than our pal Serous here. While the character is not quite as egregious to the title of Battlemaster as Zim is to the title of Grandmaster, Jun's lore and attributes are just kinda basic compared to the others on this list. During the early stages of his training, he allegedly mastered the arts of warfare and lightsaber combat without ever striking a blow with the intent to harm. Not unimpressive in and of itself, given the natural adversity of Jedi life, but nothing we haven't heard from before from non-Battlemasters. Jun was also noted by the Old Republic Encyclopedia to be a master strategist responsible for the training of hundreds of Jedi in the field during the Great Galactic War. Much of the Order's early success in the conflict likely owing to his influence. Again, nothing to scoff at, but it just kind of feels like we're checking off the requirement boxes at this point, especially considering the fact that we don't know who many of his students were. Things don't get any better when we consider Serous' skills and feats. Though aged, Jun was quite capable of bolstering his physical attributes with the Force and performing feats of telekinesis, though not in any way beyond the standard of your typical Jedi. Like all Battlemasters, he was able to effortlessly switch between multiple forms of lightsaber combat in the heat of a fight, having a particular preference for Jar-Kai dual-blade fencing. Feat-wise, well, Jun Serous only has one real fight under his belt, and in it, he got killed by the Hunter. That's pretty bad. Not as bad as Brandon, granted, as the Hunter actually does have some impressive feats and lore, but it's still a non-Force sensitive with some gadgets. Help me out here, Darth Tormund.
Only Jedi would call something this fragile Battlemaster.
Up next, we have Scarch Vaunk. Easily the most obscure of the Battlemasters, Scarch may suffer from a lack of feats compared to Jun Serous, in that he has one and she doesn't have any at all. However, given what can be inferred about her through lore combined with how basic Serous is, I simply feel she has more going for her at the end of the day. As seen by her writings in the Jedi Path, Scarch possessed immense martial knowledge and understanding, having quite literally written the book on many of the basic fundamental elements of the Jedi weapon, including the components of a lightsaber, the variations of sabers, to which even Dooku praised, materials that can counter a lightsaber, and an in-depth exploration of the 7 traditional fighting forms, as well as various alternative disciplines such as Trakata and Sokan, just to name a few. Due to this immense knowledge base and the fact that she presided during the early years of the Ruusan reformations, Vaunk would have almost certainly been an expert instructor whose influence was no doubt instrumental to the Jedi's rebuilding after the Great Sith War. In regards to martial arts combat, while we may know nothing about the ins and outs of her technique, I have no doubt that someone as intelligent and experienced as her would be able to handle themselves well in a duel. Her viability as a fighter was further enhanced by her physiology. As a member of the Annex species, Scarch would have possessed considerable reach and durability beyond the human norm, though admittedly would have suffered somewhat in the eyesight department. While her upper limit in regards to the Force is unquantifiable, she would have no doubt possessed the standard power levels and range common to seasoned Jedi Masters, which in turn would make her at the very least an even match for Jun Serous in that particular field. Add on Scarch Vonk's superior physicality and martial lore, and her placement is as solid as it gets. Taking the next spot, we have Sin Drallig, the only Battlemaster to have actually appeared in a Star Wars saga film, brief as it was, and whose students affectionately nicknamed the Troll. Now, I know a lot of people are probably raising an eyebrow at this low placement. A lot of people think Sin Drallig is really cool, which I agree. However, when it's looked at critically through the lens of canon Revenge of the Sith and Clone Wars tie-in material, a lot of his accolades and feats just aren't that impressive. What I mean by that is Drallig is what I would refer to as a masterful teacher rather than a masterful fighter, as in much of his renown comes from those he's trained rather than his actual level of ability. Kinda the Koth Sherad Het situation. Still though, that isn't to say his accolades aren't worth examining. As noted by multiple sources, Sin was the head of security of the Jedi Temple and the leading lightsaber instructor of his era, having personally mentored many of the Order's premier sword masters, including Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker. It is also worth noting that Count Dooku at least somewhat respected Sin Drallig's brand, believing that an unkempt General Grievous would not be able to defeat him, though I would like to point out that Dooku was angered when he made this claim, so his judgment might have been a little impaired. Physically, Drallig was past his prime, yet still retained an impressive level of awareness and speed. On one occasion detecting and destroying a grenade before it could go off, and later very briefly matching the swiftness of Darth Vader during Operation Nightfall. While we're on the subject of the Jedi Purge, Sin's most notable feats of lightsaber combat came about during this event, having effortlessly cut down swaths of 501st clone troopers and being one of the few Jedi to personally engage Darth Vader. Now, a lot of people like to hype this feat up to make it seem like Sin Drallig actually gave Vader a serious fight before going down. This is in response to the duel's depiction in the film being highly ambiguous in its length. However, if one shifts gaze over to the Revenge of the Sith novelization, where the fight is given more context, it becomes readily apparent that Sin Drallig was not a match for Vader in any way, shape, or form. In fact, the Sith Lord stomps him rather quickly and without much apparent effort. Things get even worse for the Troll when we consider the fact that he has no notable Force feats to draw on beyond his uses of physical augmentation, which aren't even that impressive. Overall, while Sin Drallig does possess better accolades than either Jun Serous or Scarch Vonk, and is arguably one of the most skilled instructors on this list, his relative obscurity combined with his lackluster feats simply make it so he can't be much higher. That said, there is a light at the end of this particular tunnel, Drallig fans. You see, everything I just went over was in reference to Revenge of the Sith movie/novel Sin Drallig. Revenge of the Sith video game Sin Drallig is an entirely different beast, and I'll go over where I think he could go later on. For now though, this is his placement. Up next, we have Kam Solusar, the first Jedi Battlemaster of the new Jedi Order. Now, I struggled mightily between where to put Kam relative to Sin Drallig, since they're basically the same kind of character. It actually got to the point where I was seriously considering giving them the same place on the list. However, I ultimately decided to place Kam higher due to his more consistent feats and slightly more fleshed out lore. As noted by multiple sources, Kam Solusar was the premier lightsaber instructor of the NJO in its early days, having personally devised many of the foundational training methods of the organization, such as the 3 Rings of Defense, and personally instructing many of the premier swordsmen of the era, including Corran Horn and Kip Duron. His skills were such that he was eventually given the position of head saber teacher of the Jedi Paraxium on Yavin 4 by Luke Skywalker, which, if nothing else, shows the Grand Master's confidence in Solusar's abilities as a teacher, if not an outright admittance of his skills. Physically, Kam was incredibly strong, being able to thrash around humanoids, forceful or otherwise, like nobody's business, and swift enough to keep pace with council-level adepts even in his old age. During the time of Dark Empire, Solusar would cut his way through entire squads of stormtroopers, and more impressively, best a number of Emperor Palpatine's dark side elites such as Vilgor and Zis Nist. It is also highly implied that he would go toe-to-toe with Luke during his brief stint as a Dark Jedi, an impressive effort considering Skywalker's skills at this time. Later on, he would equal the aforementioned Corran Horn in a high-intensity sparring match, and performed well during the Yuuzhan Vong War, guarding the Academy's children from the invaders. Force-wise, Kam was noted to possess a powerful connection to the light side, yet the breadth of his abilities were mostly standard fare by the tenets of powerful Battlemasters. I say mostly because his telepathic powers were definitely above the norm, being able to employ advanced abilities such as Battle Mind and Battle Meld, and even craft force illusions derived from the Falanasi mages to cloak the Jedi Academy from prying eyes. Next, above Kam Solusar, we have Keo Sen Durach. Considered by many to be one of the finest Jedi of his era, Keo's placement stems mainly from his ability to strike an almost perfect balance between the aforementioned Masterful Teacher and Masterful Fighter designations I coined previously. While the scope of Durach's teaching is a bit unquantifiable, his authorship of the text known as Combat Techniques of a Jedi Battlemaster does showcase an immense understanding of Jedi lore and its practices. More to the point, he was directly responsible for training Satele Shan in the ways of the double-bladed lightsaber, the same Shan who would go on to become one of the pivotal heroes of the Great Galactic War and Grand Master of the Order itself. Regarding his physical abilities, Durach's Zabraki makeup combined with his Jedi combat armor afforded him considerable stamina and durability, to the point where he could fight in a marathon lightsaber duel against multiple opponents for an extended period of time, and even withstand light hits from a Sith lightsaber blade. His speed was also of note since he was able to react to and intercept a barrage of Force lightning thrown at him by Lord Vindican, and remained focused enough to redirect said barrage into the apprentice Malgus. While we're on the subject of these two Sith, Keo Sen Durach's most notable feats came about during the Battle of Korriban, where the Battlemaster fought the Sith duo, first with his apprentice and then by himself, and bested Vindican before being cut down by Malgus. Although Vindican is a rather obscure SWTOR-era Sith, he was noted by the Old Republic Encyclopedia to be one of the most formidable Inquisitors of his day. Likewise, while Malgus may not have been in his prime, he was far from a neophyte Sith apprentice, which makes Durach's ability to nearly defeat the two of them in lightsaber combat nothing short of extraordinary. Rather uniquely for an Old Republic-era Battlemaster, Keo was an extremely formidable, if somewhat narrow practitioner of the Force. He had no trouble bolstering his physical attributes to council levels, and his telekinetic abilities were very impressive, being able to effortlessly throw around debris and engine components each weighing hundreds of pounds at least, channel large surges into the ground, and overcome the force barriers of powerful practitioners like Lord Vindican. Though we have never seen these abilities in action, Satele Shan believed that her former master may have been a fledgling seer, able to catch brief, if likely involuntary, glimpses into the future. On the whole, Keo Sen Durach, at least to me, epitomizes the benchmark for what a Jedi Battlemaster should be in an ideal situation. Wise, powerful, experienced, can adapt to almost any given situation. These are all qualities he embodies and are shared by everyone above him. Alright, now we're getting to the big boys. The Big Boy Battlemasters. Top 3. And what better way to usher in this section than with some sweet, sweet controversy. Coming in at number 3, we have Lord Hoth, the founder and leader of the Army of Light. Now, I just want to start off by saying that after years of careful consideration and taking into account your comments on the subject, I am no longer of the opinion that Hoth could defeat Prime Darth Bane. And if you want me to do a remake of the video to explain my points, I will gladly do so. That being said, I'm not going to just sit here and pretend that the Jedi Lord isn't insanely powerful, because he just blatantly is. As noted by the Essential Guide to Warfare, Hoth's skills with the lightsaber were such that he attained the rank of Battlemaster in his mid-20s. Why is this so significant? Well, considering that the basic prerequisite for the title of Battlemaster is mastery of all 7 lightsaber forms, and it usually takes your average Jedi 20 to 30 years to master 1 to 2 saber forms, I think it goes without saying that Hoth was a prodigious talent. As far as his teaching credentials go, Lord Hoth instructed many students over the years, the most well-known among them being Jun Serous, who, even after being out of practice for years, retained enough skill to somewhat put up a fight against Rule of Two Darth Zana. Lore-wise, Hoth should, in all likelihood, scale above the martial abilities of the other masters in his army such as Pernacar, Valentine Farfalla, and Rastil Asu. The latter two being skilled enough to fight on par with Obelisk Darth Bane, and this is confirmed by Zana. While the Jedi Lord's physical abilities are a bit unquantifiable due to the nature of his showings, there is little doubt that his strength, speed, and durability were formidable given his standing, as well as the many large-scale battles he has survived. Feat-wise, he was able to effortlessly slash his way through a small army of Sith troopers, and was confirmed by the aforementioned Warfare Guide to have single-handedly freed the Corellian trade spine from a band of Sith pirates as a knight. Shifting over to Force abilities, Hoth, as one of the greatest Jedi champions of his day, almost certainly would have possessed a powerful connection to the light side, even if his showings in the area were relatively sparse. He has never showcased any telekinetic abilities, however, his cognitive abilities were highly advanced. Being able to effortlessly perceive the intentions of his enemies through Force Sense, and even catch glimpses of the future through Farsight. Lord Hoth's most notable combative force power was the advanced Force Stasis, which enabled him to overload the senses of a target with force energy, inducing a near catatonic state and, in effect, freezing said target in place. Tactically speaking, Hoth was regarded as one of the greatest strategic minds of his day, and in the one detailed engagement we are given for him, we truly see the level of tactical awareness he has reached. We're talking about someone who, immediately after witnessing his best friend die, and while distracted by a distant explosion, near subconsciously stasis locks an enemy attacking him from behind, calculating that one of their allies would unintentionally kill them as a result. He doesn't even move a muscle, he just stands there and casually defeats an opponent without even looking their way, paying almost no attention to them and letting the enemy do his work for him. If that doesn't scream comfort in combat, I don't know what does. Lastly, I just want to point out that this is where I think Sindralig could go if you included the Revenge of the Sith video game as canon. This Sindralig was able to duel on near even terms with Nightfall Darth Vader and outright tank and repel some of his force attacks, which is crazy. While I do believe that Lord Hoth would fare better against Vader than Sin did, I still view them as being on the overall same tier of power, though as I said before, it would be highballing Dralig. Up next, at number 2, we have the Hero of Tyson. This is probably another eye-opener since the abilities of wholly player-created characters fluctuate depending on your playstyle. However, the Hero of Tyson does have enough crazy lore and feats independent of a player's actions to warrant his placement this high. even if it is annoying that they never gave him a fucking official name or gender. Easily the most influential figure of his day, the Hero of Tyson was repeatedly proclaimed by the greats of the Jedi and Sith alike to be an extraordinarily powerful warrior. A rather hefty bit of praise considering the war-torn era. Though they didn't acquire the Battlemaster title until relatively late in their career, the hero proved their mettle as a teacher with their successful mentorship of Kira Carson, who would herself go on to become a great Jedi hero in her own right. Physically, the hero possessed remarkable strength, speed, and agility, being able to match council-level adepts practically from the get-go. While this might sound a little strange, I believe the hero's reaction time should be praised as well, as they have repeatedly showcased the ability to intercept and react to powerful force attacks, both telekinetic and energy-based. As far as their skill with the lightsaber went, the Hero of Tyson mastered a wide assortment of fighting styles during their journey and has fought and defeated many of the premier blades beings of the era. They've defeated Darth Angral, a powerful Dark Lord, Tol Braga, a fallen Jedi Council Master, Lord Scourge, the Emperor's Wrath, and many more. Possessed of an immensely powerful connection to the Force, the hero, even when bereft of player influence, could employ the standard Jedi powers to great effect, being able to casually mind trick other trained Force wielders and ragdoll council-level adepts. Lastly, and really the main reason this character is this high on the list, was their defeat of Sith Emperor Lord Vitiate on the world of Dromund Kaas. While it is true that Vitiate wasn't quite at full power during this engagement due to outside interference, and was not considered notable for his dueling skills, we must not forget that this is the same emperor who, decades prior, could thrash around post-KOTOR Revan, aka the Revan who defeated Darth Malak, without much difficulty, and was still confirmed by numerous sources to be one of the most powerful Sith in galactic history. All in all, while the Hero of Tyson may be something of a blank slate character-wise, their myriad of impressive feats combined with their hype and lore speak for themselves. Unfortunately for them, our pick for the number 1 spot has feats, hype, lore, and character going for them. Coming in at the top of our list is Kyle Katarn, the second Battlemaster of the New Jedi Order, and debatably tied with Sindralig as the most well-known character to hold the title. Alright, so I don't think this comes as a surprise to many of you, seeing as Kyle, like Luke on the GM list, basically possesses every quality inherent to his rank cranked up to 11. But in fairness, I wouldn't say the gap is quite as wide as it was on that list. Still though, that isn't to say that he's not OP, because woo boy, he definitely packs a punch, and not just because of that epic beard. Though it does help. Even before he reached his prime, Katarn was stated to possess enormous force potential on both a familial and individual basis, and was one of the few Jedi in history who showcased an affinity for both the light and dark sides of the Force. In terms of his teaching ability, Kyle's skills were nothing short of legendary, so much so that his instruction alone made the members of the One Sith Order wary. His most prodigious student was Jaden Korr, the hero of the Disciples of Ragnos Crisis, and easily one of the most formidable Jedi of his generation. Though not as tall as Scarch Vonk, nor as muscular as Lord Hoth, Katarn was still a highly formidable physical combatant. He has used a combination of basic physical strength and force augmentation to withstand the blows of Mara Jade, a powerful Jedi Master, and more impressively, Dasan, a dark-side-powered Chistori. Easily his most impressive speed feat was his ability to keep pace with and react to the extremely powerful Darth Kaitis, who, while slightly injured at the time, was still way beyond the usual council levels. The Battlemaster has also showcased incredible stamina and durability, managing to hold down intense lightsaber duels for incredibly long periods, and, not die after having Darth Kaitis shove a lightsaber through his chest after hitting him in the back with a speeder. In the realm of martial arts training, Katarn was nothing less than a prodigy. Not only was he considered one of the greatest blades beings of the NJO, but Grand Master Luke Skywalker himself credited his saber skills as being equal to those of the renowned Jedi Council Master Kip Duron and the Sith Lord of the Lost Tribe Vayon Gallion, both of whom could hold their own against Luke, and superior to those of fellow Jedi Council Master Silgal. This praise was not exclusive to the Jedi, as Darth Caedus, while slightly weakened, admitted outright that the Battlemaster was a threat to him. Keep in mind, this is the same Caedus who just weeks prior went toe-to-toe with Luke and survived. I'd also be remiss if I didn't mention that the complete Star Wars encyclopedia states outright that this fight was taxing for both of them, so it's not like Caedus was overestimating the Jedi's abilities. Mechanically speaking, Kyle was a master of all 7 forms of traditional lightsaber combat as per the Battlemaster norm, as well as new fighting techniques created by the NJO like the strong, medium, and fast styles. Combat feat-wise, Kyle Katarn was easily one of the most experienced duelists of his day. During the mission to Ruusan, at which time I might add he was woefully undertrained, he single-handedly defeated the entirety of the 7 Dark Jedi, including their leader, Inquisitor Jarek, whose power rivaled Darth Vader. Granted, the novella does note that Kyle's victory only came about by him cutting off Jarek from the Valley of the Jedi, but it's still an impressive display for someone of his caliber. 7 years later, at the height of the Imperial Remnants War with the New Republic, Katarn would best dozens of stormtroopers and reborn warriors en masse, as well as the powerful Dark Jedi Tavion Aximus. His most impressive victory in this particular conflict was the one he achieved against the Dark Jedi Desan after a titanic battle at the heart of Yavin 4's Darkside Nexus. Considering for the moment that Desan, while operating outside of a Nexus, could hold his own against Jedi Master level Luke Skywalker, I think it goes without saying that Katarn's ability to defeat him there is nothing to thumb one's nose at. By the time he reached his Battlemaster status, Kyle was capable of easily mopping the floor with Lost Tribe of the Sith members, and more notably hold his own against a slightly weakened Darth Caedus. I've already said basically everything I need to say about this duel, so I won't add much more other than saying that it speaks well to his skills. Though his familial line is a bit murky, Battlemaster Kyle Katarn was an extraordinarily powerful Force user, boasting a wide array of abilities spanning both the light and dark sides of the Force. I've already mentioned his notable feats of Force empowerment, so I won't add anything more here aside from saying that they are immaculate. As far as the rest of his skill set is concerned, Katarn was a highly gifted telekinetic, being able to casually punch through stone walls, stop falling power conduits, and hold up a collapsing ceiling. His telepathic abilities were also quite advanced, being able to employ both the basic mind trick as well as the advanced long-distance communication Battle Meld and Mind Shard. Katarn is also the only character on this list who is capable of utilizing Force Lightning. Though used sparingly in his later years, Kyle's lightning strikes were just as deadly as those summoned by the Lords of the Sith, and he has even showcased the rare talent to chain bolts through multiple targets simultaneously. For defense, he developed skills with Force Protection and Force Absorption, notably using the former to shield himself from the acid rains of Vijun. Last but not least, there are Katarn's most controversial powers, the Darkshear and the Sever Force ability. Also known as the Spear of Midnight Black, the Darkshear manifested itself as an invisible spear comprised of pure darkside energy that was capable of punching through passive telekinetic barriers with ease and killing targets instantly. Meaning, if he wanted to, he could just one-shot Sindralig or the Hero of Tyson instantly before they even knew what was coming. Sever Force was very much the opposite, cocooning a target in light side energy to cut their connection to the Force, usually just temporarily, but permanently if desired. Meaning, if he wanted to, he could just sever Scarch Vonk's or Kam Solusar's connection to the Force before they even knew what was coming. Granted, while both these powers are strongly implied to be time-consuming and labor-intensive without an external source of Force energy such as the Valley of the Jedi to draw on, it's still pretty easy to see how potent they are, And even without them, it doesn't change why Kyle Katarn is at the top of the list. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed this ranking of the Jedi Battlemasters. If you enjoyed the video and want to see more, please let me know in the comments section below. Be sure to share your thoughts on the list and where you would place certain individuals. May the Force be with you, stay safe, and I'll see you guys later.